It's a really old quarter right here.
May I have your attention, please? Corina Alvarez, please return to checkpoint E33 for a loss or... May I have your attention, please? Would the passenger who left laptops please return to security checkpoint E33 to reclaim? Checkpoint E33 to reclaim. May I have your attention, please? Christian, please return to checkpoint E33 for a lost or left item. May I have your attention, please? Corina Alvarez, please return to checkpoint E33 for a lost or left item.
It's like someone left their Starbucks. Another trucker, CDL guy, coming out DFW, from Baltimore. But he lives here. He just drove his truck up to Baltimore and flew back. He currently has a rental. The guys do really good. I told him about the werewolf movie, and my pen name Ash Cole, and check it out. I don't know for sure if I'm going to turn the werewolf movie into a book. I don't really think I need to. I don't think Kubrick would. But I am writing another book. I told him about Rib, or Dog Night Out, which is kind of a purge story about poverty-stricken forming a rebellion, and in one night they take out. I don't want to talk about it, but they all have dogs, so the characters have dogs, and it sounds like it's a fun thing. It's just getting me. I'm not really been able to take off with it really, but it's a revolution story, fictional, based a little on the lines of The Purge, and it happens all in one night out. In Dog Night Out, they rise up and they kill, take out a basically law enforcement all in one night. But it's just a fiction thing. But they I don't know how it ends. I know it's a revolution story. I don't revolution, like a revolt. Kind of in the mind of something like Charlie Manson would talk about or something. But it's like fiction. And I got 12 chapters of it, and I only have these pockets of time that'll come up, and then it's going to be poetical, and it's going to be a short book, probably maybe 50 to 100 pages. It's like almost like, I guess you'd call it a novella. I have written on it, but I haven't posted. I think about maybe posting it on Facebook, but there hasn't. The Dog Night Out hasn't happened yet. It's leading up to Dog Night Out, and I gotta find what I have to do in it. Is I have to find a character. I have to find a protagonist, because right now I'm just kind of talking about this character and that character, and this character has a dog, and then it talks about the dog and stuff like that. I have to find a character that is upset. He has a dog, and he talks to another character, and that character spreads and comes up with the idea for Dog Night Out. But it's a revolutionary story. It's fictional. Oh, they're already from Virginia. I'm not trying to incite anything. I'm not trying to pick on anybody, but instead of say revolution, it's really about rebellion. It's a story about rebellion. And one of the characters takes a tip jar out of a restaurant, and a guy performs citizen's arrest on him. Believe it or not, the guy kind of looks like a Native American kind of guy. And I got to get to that part. And then when that happens, it hurts his ribs. So every time he takes a breath, it kind of hurts. And not like mine was just, I just bruised my rib. My stories come from my life, but this one really hurts his rib. So every time he breathes, it hurts his rib. And so that's why it's called Rib. And then he comes up with the idea for Dog Night Out because he's just tired of being poor. He lives on his own with a dog in a small, nearly abandoned complex. He does find a companion, and he eventually starts this like rebellion. It's kind of hard to write because it's kind of anti-government a little bit. It's rebellious. It's not like Fight Club rebellious. It doesn't have that kind of humor. It's kind of it's deeper than that. The guy wants justice, because I've always heard that the opposite of poverty is not wealth. And then I think I will put this in Dog Night Out. But the opposite of poverty isn't wealth. If you're poverty stricken or you're poor for a very long time, you don't get back by becoming necessarily wealthy, even if you do become wealthy eventually. The opposite of poverty is justice. I think that's what the story is about. They want to get justice, and they attempt to. I think in the end, the National Guard takes control of this supposed rebellion. And they reform, you know, kind of like the government, or they try to. But, you know, when you see something like January 6th happen, it's pretty scary, you know, complete rebellion. But with all the technology that the military has today, I think it would just be, you know, a big slaughter. You know, that we have fighter jets and, you know, and I don't think the whole country wants something like that. So this is a fictional thing, you know. Right in the same ballpark as Handmaid's Tale, Atwood, and things like that. It's kind of a response to that. But I haven't been able, I had to put it down for quite a bit of time. I'm also working on a new song. I'm in Denton right now, which is interesting because Bartonville is just right outside of Denton, you know, in Barksville. And what's also is the fictional town. But what's also interesting is that Anne Rice came out here, what I heard. She worked on a werewolf book. Some book that she wrote about werewolves. She wrote that in Denton, I heard. So I thought that was kind of cool. I'm gonna grab some hot nuts right over there from QT. Like I said, I only have pockets of time to write this little rib or dog night out. It's kind of a little secret project. I'm kind of doing it on the side, and I'll probably just do like a post on Facebook or something. I can post that on Facebook. I don't go through to look at editing though. And if you're, you know, if you're in law enforcement stuff, it's nothing against you. It's not like that, you know, because some of them hold their own, you know. This is about like if poverty-stricken people, basically like homeless people or form a rebellion, you know, that just never would happen in a million years. But it's fantasy, and you know, it's almost like a zombie film or something. And they would form a rebellion using dogs as a way to bait the police in one night, and they get snipers to take them out, and the police would go after like the dog because the dog is being disobedient or is trained to be disobedient, and they'd come out to try to stop them, and then there'd be like a sniper. It's also kind of based on some of the craziness that happened in Dallas when a certain person flipped out. And to be honest, I think, you know, there's gonna be like a side story or something to stay away from some of the violence, because I don't know for sure if I'm going to continue it, because I'm not a famous or well-known published author. So it comes off as kind of like kooky or whatever. Maybe it's just part of the vlog, or maybe it's just part of the fictional aspect of the vlog. And I was talking about Fight Club the other night, but I don't know. Let me think about it, and I'll see what I do. I might post the 12 chapters that I have tonight. I might do that. Gas is $3.19. So one thing I'm going to do is in Dog Night Out is it's not exactly what you think. So one of the good guys is actually a cop. There's two opposing forces. There's one guy that's kind of like Randall in Stand. He's like kind of evil. He may have some kind of weird power or something. So, but the poverty-stricken aren't bad people, but they rise up and this starts to happen, and then the protagonist goes off, and it becomes kind of like anarchy. So the world becomes kind of anarchy. It's kind of Revelation. It's like my Revelation story. But I don't have that protagonist yet. He hasn't come to me yet. His name might be, I don't know, it may start with a J. I don't think it's Jonah, because Jonah's been a name I've used for many protagonists. But I'll have to let it come to me, and then I'll be able to write it. Names come and go, and say I'm waiting for the name to arrive, and then I'll go forward with it. And also, I have to wait for the inspiration. I can't write without that. We get some peanuts and some gas, and then I'm gonna head back and get Linda. Looks like a little bit of rain starting to come from this direction over here. All right, got some hot nuts and a little bit of beef jerky. Come across a lot of truckers. I kind of like this right here. Or license plate like that. Road's not marked very clear coming out of that QT. Make a bigger sign right there. That's the way to exit right there. Couldn't tell. All right, so this little segment, of course, is brought to you by, you guessed it, Jack Link's beef stick and cheese, jalapeno. And also, don't forget, go buy QT. Don't forget peanuts. It's a little George Miller moment. Heat point peanuts. Planters. Denton Highway. I'm gonna head back to get Linda. I'll do it take a little bit longer. There's the wind turbines for renewable energy. Yeah, I know. Like you can't pressure me like that. I'm trying to. Hang on, give me a second. There we go. Getting all road warrior. Jump on the back of it, get some footage that way. No, I don't recommend that at all. George Miller, there's a filmmaker, man. Don't even really talk about that guy. He's a mad genius. Planters, heat peanuts. Pretty good. Did Michael Caine ever talk about when the camera's this close? He probably does somewhere in his work. But it's very interesting. It's pretty easy when it's this close sometimes. Maybe you just focus on one pinpoint, you know, so your eyes aren't shifty. Kind of like that. There we go. Ooh, that's weird. Way beyonder is Texas Motor Speedway, way over there. That way. Way over there. It's a speedway. Texas Motor Speedway. Dale Earnhardt Way. If you're gonna do it, do it Dale Earnhardt Way. Okay, it's like 10 kids. Or somewhere in that ballpark. Speedway, don't forget to stop by Buc-ee's up here. It's a cool little area right here, Texas Motor Speedway. They got apartments out here, motels and hotels. Huge Buc-ee's right here. A lot of stuff happens at the Speedway. Could make a pretty good vlog. Buc-ee's, we love you. A little talk, because you're looking at a rider. A little talk about Rib or Dog Night Out. It's written not backwards, so the language is the language, but the chapters start high and then they slowly go down to number 1. So right now it's at chapter 12. So you would read it from chapter 12, and then the next chapter would be chapter 11. And you'd read chapter 11, then you'd read chapter 10, and it'd go all, 9 until it does a countdown. So the chapters start high when you open the book, which is very kind of backwards. So the next chapter will be chapter 13, and I can talk a little bit about it before I start to write, but I want to talk about Rib or Dog Night Out, and where it came from was a mysterious kind of thing. And when the inspiration comes about, it's mysterious. So I only write it when the time is right, and only in pockets of time. And so it's more of a poetic language, kind of, not really. I mean, it's on the lines of what Cormac McCarthy kind of approaches literature. And I've always wanted to kind of approach literature that way, that it's more about maybe the sound and the feelings than it is about structured thought and plot and everything. I don't think Cormac McCarthy's, all his stuff is like that. But when I read Cormac McCarthy, it sounds kind of almost like a biblical language, or a language that comes from an ancient tongue, an old tongue, rather than something where if I read Stephen King, it sounds more modern and colloquial. Colloquial means just like regular day speech. That's not what I get when I read a lot of Cormac stuff, especially books like The Road, which I haven't read all of it, but I've read a lot of it. And I did read through Blood Meridian, but I didn't get it all. I read it kind of like almost in like a dream state, because I was in Maine and I was writing my own book, and I was reading Blood Meridian, and I was reading different seasons with Stephen King. So I was taking two different authors. The idea was that it was two opposing fathers, one from the north, one from the south, and that was what became Escape from Maine. And I think it was more in a normal tongue than rather the Cormac McCarthy. That comes from a mysterious thing, maybe from the south. Faulkner also had the same ability, where it comes out of a mysterious kind of language. The language is not foreign, it's English, but it's old and mysterious. It's biblical. There's names for it. It's like a road. I like this idea, this rib or Dog Night Out. So you get the idea of maybe one chapter or two chapters you hear the revolution happening, and then eventually I think what happens in it, I think this is how I'm gonna have to describe it, is there'd be a chapter where maybe you get the idea of the protagonist, and maybe he comes out 2 or 3 chapters, but I don't think it's completely solely like novel or written. It is kind of like a novel, but there's a poetic aspect to it, but I think it is kind of a novel or a novella. So it's not separate poems, like this chapter somehow will connect to the other chapter. But I have to either plan, because plot-wise, it's right now it's plotless. So right now it has no plot. But there is maybe a story or an explanation of what's going on, and then very minimal dialogue. So that's what it is right now. Tarantula was like that. If you read Bob Dylan's Tarantula, I didn't really follow much of a plot. It's hard to do that. It's hard to follow it, but there is a story there probably. No one's attempted it on film yet. Same with Blood Meridian. No one's attempted that. But there's a dang good vlog though. I was listening to a very long time. A really good vlog about Blood Meridian. from Tennessee. What'd you say? You said it was about 12 minutes away? Okay. All right, there's Linda.
Hiya.
And it's like the second or third part of the Please Subscribe show sequence. Sorry, you get a writer behind it, and we're doing like 4 or 5 vlogs a day. Coming out of a McDonald's and taking Linda to another interview, her business. I'm gonna get the door for her like a gentleman.
No, we didn't eat at McDonald's.
Well, we didn't today, but we did earlier on National Cheeseburger Day. The other day we did. But we're trying to eat healthy, so just pretend like we are. All right. Got soap on me. My direction to Linda was, how long can you hold a smile? They're all the way from where? Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan. Must be a reservation. Okay, I'm gonna count. Ready? Go. Ready and smile.
One moment, please. I'm trying to focus on this. So that's there.
Oh well. Just imagine that we did it.
Oh, okay. It was doing avoid highways. That's why I was
I'll
going to do.
I'll count. Ready? Like at least 10 seconds. Smiling. This time filmmaking is hard. Go with the John Ford angle right there. Ready? And 10 seconds. Smile and... more focus towards where the cat is. Here we go.
My teeth hurt.
All right, about 10 seconds.
No, that was like 15.
That was 15.
Yeah, because you started at 58 seconds.
I'm really smiling here, though. When you're smiling, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, when you're laughing, the whole world laughs with you. That one was dedicated to my friend Brian. I'm Cole.
I'm Linda.
That's Linda. We're the Please Subscribe Show and the Cole and Linda Filmmaker Band. We got a new one coming up, Wild Burning Eyes. Hopefully we'll be able to work on it eventually. A lot of stuff that we create a lot of art. We're the new wavers, the new ones. I guess you could say the Generation X or filmmakers.